Welcome back friends, this is Frazer from Art Studio. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So in this tutorial we'll be creating the low poly version of this rock and doing its UV unwrap. So let's get started. Coming back to ZBrush, we'll see that we had created this sculpt of the rock, stylized rock in ZBrush in previous tutorial. Please check it. If you haven't seen, click the I button above. As you can see that we have a lot of low poly versions I've created using the ZRemesh, and as we gradually decrease the poly count, the shape and the form loses. As you can see that this version looks a little better. It retains the basic shape, but it loses some of the contrasting corners and all. And even the poly count is not that low. It's pretty like mid-level for a rock or this kind. What we'll do is, instead of creating the low poly from ZBrush, ZRemesh, we'll take it to Maya and do it there. For that, first let's decimate this high poly version. Okay, so I've created a copy or duplicate of it. And so going into the Z plugin menu, the Decimation Master. Under the Decimation Master, first you have to pre-process the current selected. So hit on the pre-processed current and it will quickly pre-process the mesh. Once that's done, just go to the same menu, Decimation Master, and this time we'll be doing Decimate Current. So hit the Decimate Current button, and once that's done, you can see the mesh has been decimated and it has reduced the poly count quite a bit. Okay, so it's reduced quite a bit and it has not lost its form or its details. So it's retained the details also pretty much well. So we'll just export this mesh and take it to Maya. So for that, we can go to the tool menu and hit on export with the decimated mesh selected, and we just export it as FBX or OBJ, either way. And once that's done, we'll hop on to Maya. So in Maya, we'll be using a few options under the mesh menu. We'll be using the remesher, the retopo, and the reduce. Okay, I'll show you how it's done. So just keep following. So first we'll start with the remesh option. So we select this mesh and go with the default option for the remesh. Okay. With the default option of remesh, we can see that the poly count has not reduced. Okay, not what we are looking for. Anyways, what we'll do is we'll duplicate this original mesh. Okay, and so we have the original version, and we'll just remesh it once more. This time we'll turn on the custom. Okay, collapse threshold, we'll keep the value 5. Okay, we'll hit the apply button. Although we are getting tries over here and the edges are jagged, but it has retained its basic form, shape, and also a lot of details, right? So the topology is not good, but it has done a good work in reducing the poly count. Okay, next moving on to the next step where we'll use the retopo. So selecting this mesh, we'll hit the retopo option from the mesh menu, hit the default settings and get the default settings. We'll change, like we'll keep the original and we will keep the target poly count to 1000. Okay, so with that done, hit the apply button. You'll see it quickly reduces the poly count to about 951. Okay, and that's pretty good. But it has turned into a pretty smooth and it has lost its hard edge kind of rocky structure, right? It has lost that. So to fix that and to reduce the mesh poly count even further, we'll move on to the third option from the mesh menu, which is reduce. Okay, so we select this mesh this time and hit the reduce button. So once we hit the reduce button, with the following settings, we keep the original, okay, just to keep it back up, and with the 50 default, we'll hit reduce. Okay, so very quickly it will reduce, and you can see it has given us a pretty good low poly version with a poly count of 388 faces, right? It's pretty good for a low poly game version. So with that, we have done the retopo and reduced the mesh. With you can see it has now retained some of its jagged edges and it has retained its form also. So we can compare it with the other original mesh as well. So it has pretty close to the original silhouette of the mesh. Okay, so great. Now we'll just try to compare all the mesh together. Okay, so I'll just move them side by side and we'll compare all the 4 meshes. So first we have the original mesh, which is the high poly one or the decimated one from ZBrush. Then we have the remeshed version, which is low poly but doesn't have a good topology, sorry. Then we have the retopoed mesh, which has good topology more or less, and you can use it as a mid poly object or mesh for other pipeline, like for movies or 3D animation. Okay, so that can be used there. But for game, we'll use the reduced version. So we see the low poly reduced version as well, and it has done a pretty good job. Okay. So next, moving on to the UV unwrapping of this rock. For that, we'll turn on the UV editor, and we'll also turn on the UV toolkit. Okay. So if you don't find, you can go under UV editor and you can go under tools. You'll find it there. Okay. And the options we'll need mainly for this is the create option. So I'll just turn off everything and show you. So create, turn that on, cut and sew, unfold, and then you have the arrange, I think, align. Yeah. Okay, so starting with the planar projection. So shift and left click, if you do, you open the option box. You can use different options and try. But normally I keep it to either camera projection based on the object or by Z from front. Okay, that is. So I just hit that and apply. So next, moving on to the unwrapping, where we'll have to first cut the edges, okay, of the seams. So I'll select the seams I want to cut. So it's always better to cut the underside, okay. So bottom or the sides, faces or the surface which are not visible to the camera. So try to keep the seams hidden. Once the desired edges are selected, we'll go to the cut and sew option and use the cut option from there. Hit the cut button. So with the shell selected, we'll unfold it. So hit the unfold button. As you can see, it's a single shell now. So if you like it like this, then we can obviously use the orient shell to straighten or align it, and then lay it out within the grid. Okay, so you can do that. Otherwise, you can just cut off the bottom part separately. Okay, so select the edge from the UV editor itself, or edge oil loop, and then cut it from the cut tool and select the shell. Now you can see it has got a separation now. Now you can also cut the other side, okay, to make it more uniform. Okay, so that's the bottom. Yeah, sorry, that's the bottom part. Yeah, as you can see. And once the shells are separate, we'll select all the shells and we'll unfold it once more. So just unfold it once more and align and layout. Sorry, orient, layout the shells and orient the shells. Some seams may appear, right? Because overall it's visible apart from the bottom. So if you want, you can just select those seams, quickly hit the stitch together. Once that's done, just unfold it once more and lay out and orient the shells once more to optimize the spacing of the shell. Okay, so once that's done, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So we'll just clean up the mesh. Okay, so for the cleanup are deleting the history, freeze transformation, center pivot. Okay, so I have all the shortcuts over here on the shelf. Okay, you can also create the shortcuts. So moving on to the next part, you can see in the attribute editor there are still a lot of nodes connected. Although we have deleted the history, but still there are a lot of nodes connected. So to get rid of this, we can just optimize. Rather, you should always optimize your mesh before exporting it for rig or any other purpose, and that will clean up everything, any extra nodes there. Moving on to the shader, so we'll just apply another Lambert material. So just to try to avoid the Lambert one when you're exporting, apply any other material. Okay, just name the material, name the shader. So we'll just name it rock shader. So SH for shader. Finally, moving on to the last step, which is exporting the mesh. Okay, so we'll select the mesh and export selected. Okay, we'll export it in FBX. So just name it, get the location and export it. So this is low poly version is ready to be used for texturing in Substance Painter as well as using in game environments. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned a lot of things from it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell icon and please share my video to your friends who are interested in this kind of art, 3D game art. And see you in the next tutorial. Next tutorial we'll be doing the texturing of this rock using the high and the low poly, and we'll switch to Substance Painter in the next tutorial. Until then, take care. Bye bye. See you.